Hello, and welcome to the FTB Premier League reaction show with a little bit different today as it's an FA Cup reaction show. I hope everyone is well. Thank you for joining us today. Got two fantastic guests, as always. Stitches, a regular on this show. How are you, Stitches?
Yeah, not great, mate. Not great, mate. But I'm gonna soldier on. I'm feeling it at the moment.
Yeah, I can imagine the pressure's on you. You must be getting a lot of digs from a lot of different fans.
I am indeed. But I've got broad shoulders and I rep my team to win, lose or draw. So I'm ready to take it.
Yeah, that's one thing I will say. You're a man who carries the pressure well, that's for sure. That's for sure. And of course, we've got a new guest today. Aslan, how are you?
How you doing, mate? You okay? Yeah, everything's all good here. Soldiering along as
Welcome to
well.
the show.
Past couple of seasons.
Great to have you on. Welcome to the show, fellow Arsenal supporter as well.
Thanks for having me on.
Oh, good stuff, good stuff. Well, gentlemen, we're going to be going through the FA Cup games and the results today. I think it's only right we kick off with what was built up to be a big game and actually delivered, to be fair, with a couple of talking points. Manchester United, Liverpool. Going to be a difficult one for you, Stitches. How did you feel Liverpool's performance was, Stitches?
Yeah. So it was bitty. It was a game that swung one way then swung the other. I was interested to see how Man United were gonna come out against us at Old Trafford because in the match we played them a few days ago, they parked the bus. So I was interested to know how it was going to go. And credit to them, they did attempt to come at us. I thought we had the best of the first half for sort of half an hour, 35 minutes, and then towards the end of the half, we were hanging on a little bit. To be fair, they were really finding a lot of joy down the left. And then in the second half, I think once we went behind, we kind of got on top of the game again. And then what happened right at the death, which you got to expect at Old Trafford. To be fair, a refereeing decision that some will say is a foul. I don't think it was. And they got a free kick, which you got to give credit to Fernandes. It was a great free kick. I expected Alisson to do a bit better from something like that, but credit where it's due. I don't think the free kick should have been given, but given the season we're having and the way decisions are going against us, we don't seem to get the rub of the green. If it's a 50-50 decision, it's going to go for the opposition. So, that's to be expected. But look, we'll go again. We'll dust ourselves off. What I thought, though, was that I saw sparks of the old Liverpool in there. And that bodes well going forward. We're starting to rediscover some of our movement, some of that sharp, accurate passing. The only concern for me is still the centre-back position. It looks like we're not going to spend out on a new centre-back, so we've got to find a solution quickly. And Matip, who is back, has to be managed over the next lot of games because he's the only recognised centre-back we've got available. And we're missing Fabinho massively in central midfield, in the defensive midfield, because he's covering as a centre-back. So it's almost like we've had a double whammy. We've lost arguably one of the best DMs in the world out of midfield, and now we've got him playing in defence. So again, we're impacted. But look, this is what the challenge is, and I trust Klopp to find an answer to it. I'm hearing rumours that his mum passed away yesterday, and if that's the case, then respect to him for turning out tonight, and R.I.P. to his mum and all of that, and thoughts and everything with him. I don't know how true that is. That's just Twitter chat that I've seen floating around. I hope it's not true, but if it is, thoughts and prayers with him and his family.
Yeah, obviously, if that news is true, we do send our deepest condolences out to him and to his family, of course. But that'd be a difficult time he'll be going through. Aslan, I mean, Liverpool have still performed well on a whole over this season. They're not as dominant, of course, but they've had some very big injuries that have impacted them. Do you think that possibly the impact to especially their centre back pairing of Gomez and obviously Van Dijk? Do you think that's had a bigger impact on the team because it's now forcing everyone to have to be a little bit deeper? As, they have to cover more space defensively now with not having that solid two at the back.
Oh, massively. massively. You know, when you've got someone like Van Dijk, the presence that he brings to the pitch, the leadership, the way he rallies the team. I don't really see that at the moment in the Liverpool squad. I mean, you look at the team that they've got, still on paper, absolutely, brilliant players, but you can just see, that the presence, the leadership is not there. But when you got players playing out of position, they don't seem to have the same sort of impact as they do when they are playing in their right positioning. Now, you look at Henderson, when you've got Van Dijk behind him and you've got Henderson in front of him, that's just like a brick wall, just in the middle and at the back. So you've got a lot more, how would you say, the confidence in that team then runs from all the way from the back to the front, where Liverpool last year were dominating teams from the back to the front. That's what is missing. The core in the middle of that squad is missing, and it looks very weak. And to be honest with you, when I watched that game against Burnley, you could already see that the confidence wasn't there. So when you go to Anfield, 67 games unbeaten at Anfield, and you walked out there, and that didn't look like the same Liverpool squad. Whether the starting lineup was wrong or whether Liverpool just didn't turn up on the day, they just didn't look the same Liverpool as they did last year. Now every team coming to play Liverpool probably fancying their chances against Liverpool because of the situation that they're in. Like, as an Arsenal fan, I would love to play Liverpool right now just to get one over them, because we haven't had the best of records against Liverpool in ages. But then again, you can't underestimate Liverpool. I mean, they can hammer us 7-0 past Crystal Palace, and then you can't score in the last 4 games or 5 games, they say, But this is the thing. I think they are lacking a bit of leadership. I think Klopp is slightly running out of ideas because he doesn't have that presence in midfield, because he's playing a lot of players out of position, and I think that's hurting Liverpool at the moment. As a neutral, the game today, it was really good. I mean, back to back. But I think what Man United had done, which I thought was really well, is when they played them during midweek, on Sunday, they sussed them out. They know that Liverpool were there for the taking. They know if they sit back again, they can get hurt if Liverpool attack. So what they do, they actually went for the attack, and hey, fair dues to them. I personally think that wasn't a free kick, but then again, it was at Old Trafford. So personally, I think, Liverpool are there for the taking at the moment. But I mean, like I said, I don't, as an Arsenal fan, I don't want to jump on high horses because I know they might lose all their games now till they come to the Emirates and then they beat us 4-0. So it's nice to see some of their fans pipe down a bit, but it's also good to see how close the Premier League is and how unpredictable it is this year as well. I mean, whether it's the FA Cup as well. So yeah, we'll see what Liverpool can come up with.
It will be interesting. I mean, we've got to speak on Man United. Their form of late, and obviously how they kind of turn things around, considering, a lot of people were calling for Ollie's job, said Man United aren't really good enough. Are they answering those critics now? And is Ollie answering those critics' stitches?
I've been asked this question recently, and I guess in one hand, yeah, he is answering his critics because he was so terrible when he first came. But at the same time, when you take a step back and you take a kind of overview, it's not a bad squad. It never was. Do you know what I mean? They've added Fernandes and Cavani have made that squad stronger, but it was always a strong squad. Man United should always have been in the top 4 or challenging for the league with what they had and what they've spent over the last few years. So for me, it's like, it depends, isn't it? Do you want to give him credit for getting that team to play and be where it should be? For me personally, you get credit for taking a team beyond the expectation. And is he beyond the expectation? He is in one sense because they were so terrible, but he isn't in another sense because they should be there or thereabouts. And I'm not trying to be controversial here, but it's taken a COVID-impacted season with unprecedented amounts of injury, compressed games and everything, for Man United to be where they are. So, if you want to celebrate that and say quality, well done, then, good luck, well done. But, some of these Liverpool players have played double the amount of games that Man United players have played over the last 18 months, because Man United have been out of competitions at early stages, right? And where we've gone deep in competitions and we've gone in international competitions and whatnot. So, they're fresher. So they should be there, as far as I'm concerned. Credit to Ollie for, turning it around in one aspect, but not totally. And yeah, I'm biased. I'm a Liverpool fan. What else can I say?
I mean, personally, I think he will bottle it. I think he would. Me, I won't put Oli at that kind of. He's answered his critics. It's again, COVID hit season. So many injuries. I mean, the results you can see, like where people are dropping points. I mean, you have to give him credit in a way where you can say, they've been. I personally think they've been the most consistent team since they lost to Arsenal at Old Trafford. But I still think that there's going to become a time where the Man City are going to hit that point where they're going to go on a run, where Oli will then bottle it. I mean, it will only take us personally. It will take him one game that he will lose, and then I think it will start crumbling again. And I think that will happen. Maybe I'm just saying that because I don't like seeing them where they are right now. But I have a really bad feeling that this is what will happen. I mean, I still think he's a terrible manager. I mean, I don't think he is what you call a Man United manager. I don't think he was what you call a United manager. He's got the players for sure. I mean, United had the players since Oli even was there, but they just couldn't get the best out of him. The Pogba situation, the midfielders, everywhere that you looked on that pitch, certain players had some sort of issues. But I mean, like I said, credit you have to give to them. I mean, for the run that they've been on. But I don't think it will last.
I'd also like to add. Sorry to cut you, Aslan. I'd also like to add that the fans not being there makes a massive difference, right? It makes a massive difference. Like if you think back to when the fans were in there, the pressure, the atmosphere at Old Trafford, when things started not going their way, and those fans start getting on their back. It makes the players a little bit nervous. There's a nervous pass here, a misplaced pass there. They haven't got that. They're playing with total freedom right now. You know what I mean? Whereas if you look at teams like Liverpool, who thrive on the support of their fans, I think that it's having an impact. It is.
Yeah.
Where you get that extra ounce and that extra little bit of motivation just to make that tackle. That's not happening now. So, that has to be considered.
Yeah, no, I agree with them. There's some really good points there on both teams. I think we will, I wasn't going to, but I think we will. We'll talk about obviously the third goal from Man United and the free kick. Stitches, I know already. I don't even have to ask you, but I know you don't think that was a foul. Aslan, do you think that was a foul?
No, I don't think it was a foul. It's with me when these kind of things happen, it's the Old Trafford effect. It's the Old Trafford effect, along with the referees. It's like ancient history to me, from the Fergie days. Even when Van Gaal was there, when Moisey was there, all these things were happening off. And they were being given. You can look at games that have gone by. Even in this season, you can see the games that have gone by where the refereeing decisions that have been given on the basis of being at Old Trafford. Now, obviously, I'm just being biased because obviously I didn't want United to go through to the next round personally. But then again, if I'm saying to you as neutral, I didn't think it was a free kick. And secondly, I think the referee bottled it on that one. 100% bottled it on that one.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting some comments and stuff coming through, so I'll get into those in a bit. But also I'd like to say, please keep liking, subscribing, and sharing. Your support's been fantastic, and we hope you're enjoying the content. One of the comments we've got here from Mr. B is for you, Stitches. Maybe Liverpool players need some self-motivation.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. And coming from a United fan, because I know who Mr. B is, and you can tell by his picture, he's definitely United. Do they need some self-motivation? I think look at what they've achieved over the last 3 years. Running Man City close, then getting knocked out in the Champions League final after unfortunate injury and what happened with Carriers, to then react from that to come back and go again, win a league, win a Champions League, win a World Cup. I think you can't question these players' mentalities. You can't. But it is an ask. It's a big ask, and they're human beings. So there was always going to be some point where they don't live up to those standards that they've made. And I think they've earned the right to kind of have a little bit of pressure taken off them. But if I'm watching the game tonight and I'm looking at our players, I don't see a motivation issue. I just think these are players that are trying their hardest. They're giving everything out on the pitch. But we keep taking blows. If it's not a refereeing decision, it's players getting injured, or it's just unfortunate things happen. I mean, Reece Williams made a big error today where he could have cleared the ball and let the ball through. I can't even have a go at him. He's a young player. He was playing non-league not too long ago, and you drafted him in to play against Man United, against Rashford and Cavani and players of that ilk. So I don't think you could question the players' motivation. I think they're giving everything for the manager. I just think right now we're not getting the rub of the green and things aren't going in our favour. But we're not too far off. To be where we are, given everything, I think that's amazing. I think they need to be given credit for that. More to the point.
Fantastic. Well, look, we'll move on to the next game. Brentford, Leicester City. I was fortunate enough, I was actually commentating on this game, so I got to watch this game live, which was fantastic. Leicester. Now, I've actually got Leicester down to potentially nick the Premier League this year in the state of this season. And after watching them today, they put out a strong side. So I feel like they've got a real good chance to go and win the FA Cup this year as well. What did you make of the game today, Aslam, out of Leicester and Brentford, and what did you think of Leicester's performance on a whole?
Brilliant game. I mean, when I watched it, and I mean, from the first 2 minutes, you could tell Leicester were in the mood to, they were from the wing, they were piping it down. But I think you can't rule Brentford out. I think Brentford are a very, very good team as well. They gave a very good game to Leicester. But I mean, to be honest with you, in terms of overall, Leicester just had that, that Premier League class, you can say. Now, I agree with you as well. I have a sneaky feeling, I don't know why, but I do think Leicester might nick it. I mean, to be honest with you, why can't they? I mean, if you look at some of the results that they've had, and Jamie Vardy, Maddison, Harvey Barnes, the way these guys have gelled in, the way these guys have been playing, who says they can't win the league this year? It's so unpredictable. It's very hard to say that they can't. Now, if I'm being honest, the game was actually good. I mean, the second half, I would personally say Leicester absolutely dominated the game. The moment they went 1-1, personally, I just thought it was going to be it was just going to drift one way. I mean, but you can't take any credit away from Brentford. They were in it. They did create a lot of chances. I mean, to be honest, they were a bit unlucky not to go in 2 goals, 3 goals up at halftime. But there were some great saves, great moments in the game as well. So personally, I do have a feeling that Leicester will be there. But I think Leicester are one of the teams that I can see maybe making it to the semi-final, final of the FA Cup as well.
Yeah, I mean, Stitches, Leicester do have some quality players, don't they? And I agree with Aslan there in terms of, Leicester did dominate the game pretty much from start to finish. Brentford played very well and could have gone in half time 2-0 up. Do you think this Leicester City team may have enough to go and win the FA Cup and even possibly nick the Premier League?
I think they have enough to win the FA Cup because it's a one-off game and it's basically, have you got a fit enough squad and the luck of the draw to a certain extent. And then when you get to the final, it's anyone's game. I think you're going to be hard-pressed to see a winner beyond Man City, if I'm being honest. I just think Man City, they seem to have a love for this competition. I'm going to be controversial. I don't really care about the FA Cup. I don't care about the League Cup. I'm not interested. And I'm not. This isn't a new feeling just because we lost today to Man United. Anyone who knows me has known I've said it for years. These competitions don't really interest me. I get the nostalgia and all of that. And it's nice to see a club like Brentford get a chance against a Premier League team, and there's always the chance of an underdog, doing a bit of giant killing, which is always nice and good for banter, I guess. But for me, it's just kind of like the Premier League team should win. You should win, and you can see the golfing class sometimes. You can battle, you can run as hard, but when there's quality so different, the gap in quality. I mean, you've got England players in that team, you've got internationals in that team. They were struggling, not struggling, but they weren't seeming to getting a breakthrough. They brought on Madison, and he changed the whole thing. So for me, Leicester should have won, so they did win. It was kind of David and Goliath kind of thing, and Goliath won. How many times did David come up trumps in reality? So yeah, I think they've got the quality to definitely go all the way. In the Premier League, I'm not so certain. I still think there's a question mark over the manager. I think he's good when things are going well, but when they're going badly, I think he's found a bit wanting. If they stay injury free, and that's critical. Someone like Vardy, Maddison getting injured changes the whole dynamic. So that's a big thing to consider as well. And it's going to be a long season in terms of volume of games and everything. So let's see. I think the FA Cup is definitely something they should aim for, though.
Yeah, agreed totally. I mean, moving on, Chelsea, Luton, pretty straightforward game, wasn't it? Chelsea kind of dominated, obviously. Finished the game 3-1. I think the biggest talking point has to be a certain striker's form. Timo Werner missed a penalty, can't seem to score. What do you think Werner needs to do to get a goal? It just doesn't seem to be working for him, does it? And his confidence seems to be drifting away from him as lad.
It's so difficult. He's such a quality footballer. You saw him last year in the Champions League when he was tearing up German league. You just thought when Chelsea signed him, you just thought, wow, there's another amazing striker or you could say attacking winger that's just been added to the Premier League. Now, I mean, to be honest, as a striker, all he needs is goals. He needs a goal to come from somewhere. One of those ones where a simple goal that just flicks off his shoulder and goes into the back of the net, or he mishits one and it goes into the net, can change his season. You can see. I mean, when we played them at the Emirates, he didn't look like a player that that could score. He wasn't threatening. Mason Mount was actually more threatening than the striker. But he just, I don't know, he just seems a shadow of a player that he was last year. Whether it's a new team, a new system, or maybe it's the manager. Maybe it could be Lampard that can't get through to Werner, or maybe he just needs the coaching around him. Someone to put, someone to, give him that little boost to say, that look, show him some videos from last year to say, you can do this. What is going wrong? Does he need to play in a different place? Does he need to play more centrally? Because the couple of games that I've seen him play, he comes in off of the wing. Now, does he need to play more centrally? Personally, I would say yes. He needs to be more central. But he just, the thing is as well, and you can't really see a lot, but Chelsea haven't been very dominant from the midfield either. So there's not a lot of midfielders that are, giving him the ball. But most of the time when he's getting the ball, he's getting it at the wing, then he's trying to run into the middle and trying to find the pass. And when he does get that one pass, he either scuffs the shot or the confidence is just not there. I mean, he just seems a shadow of a player that he was last year. And I'm very disappointed because I actually thought he would do really well in the Premier League. I actually thought he would. Maybe he just needs this season to go by, just to settle in, and maybe we might see a different Werner next season,
Yeah, I mean, Stitches. Chelsea haven't performed great of late, have they? And they had one or two scares in this Luton game, but overall, they come away with a victory. But with regards to the Premier League, I mean, the pressure is building on Lampard to start really kind of getting results and getting the players to perform at the levels they should be, because it doesn't seem to be happening right now. Do you think Lampard's on borrowed time at the moment?
I think he is on borrowed time. If we're being honest, Chelsea aren't the most patient when it comes to giving managers time. I think anyone else other than Frank Lampard would probably have collected their P45 by now. I think it's, You know, it's he's Frank Lampard, isn't he? He's Chelsea blue through and through. So he's getting that time. He's under pressure though. He's definitely under pressure. And for me, what's made him under pressure is the amount of money they spent this summer. They brought in some absolute worldies, but for some reason he's not able to put it all together. I don't know, Carly, if you remember our conversation about Timo Werner. I'm quoted as calling him the German Barini. A lot of people took umbrage at that, but it's been proven out. His confidence is lacking. The Premiership is unforgiving. You can't just come in the Premier League and hit the ground running. More players fail than make it at this level. But I just saw his top attributes, don't necessarily suit the way Chelsea play. Right? They very rarely play that ball in for a striker to run onto and just finish. There's a build-up play. You get a lot of the ball, and same reason I said he wouldn't succeed at Liverpool. And I was glad we got someone like Jota instead of him, because you need a player that can do a bit more further away from the goal. They've got that quality, and he's got pace, but I don't know if he's got that trickery. He's got that strength to hold up the ball. I'm not sure. I think they've got to adapt their play somewhat to compensate for him. I still think he's a gunman. If you put him in front of goal, he's going to have more chances than not score. But he's getting chances from wide areas. He's getting chances where it's like, it's a 50-50 chance. It's not clear cut. And it's affected his confidence now. He can't even put away a penalty.
With Werner as well. Sorry, Stitches. But with Werner as well, he's coming to a Chelsea team who've been very successful, in the past. But he's also coming at a time where they had a brand new manager, with not as much experience. And secondly, he's also come in to fill the boots of someone like Eden Hazard, someone they've told him he needs to come in and start performing. They paid the money for him to come in and score them goals straight away. But like Stitches said as well, I mean, a Premier League is a whole different ball game. I mean, you can either cut it in the Premier League or you can't. You've seen a lot of ballers, you can say, that have come in from different leagues, absolutely killed the leagues in their league, but come to the Premier League and crumbled. Perfect example I give you is Angel Di Maria. How good was he at Real Madrid? How good is him at PSG? But how much did he do in the Premier League? I think it's a bit of a hit. I think Chelsea have relied on him too much to give them goals. They've relied on him too many times, and the pressure, I think, is getting to him. But you can't say, but he's still a young man. He's still got a lot of confidence in front of goal. I think it's just a lack of creativity that they're also doing. That has his confidence is just not there at the moment. You can just see when he plays, his mood, his movement of the ball is just not there. I mean, it's very difficult to say. I mean, I personally think it might be Lampard. He might start firing the moment Lampard gets fired. But then again, Chelsea's Chelsea, isn't it? Like it's good they just stay down as far as they can. So it just works out better for everyone.
I also
they can be the money club.
Chelsea have a philosophy and a style of play, and it suits a big centre forward like Giroud, like Didier Drogba. Even Fernando Torres went there and he wasn't quite in that mold and he struggled. They've had strikers come in that can't make it. If you look at the strikers that have had success at Chelsea, you're looking at Hasselbank, big physical type players. Vialli could put himself about a little bit. So is he in that mold? I don't think he is. And I don't even put him in the Eden Hazard kind of mold either. So, what is he to them? He's something they haven't had before. And I'm not just sure they're not using him in the most effective manner right now.
Yeah, no, agree. Some really good points there. Moving on to Manchester City, Cheltenham. Manchester City had a little scare in this game. Cheltenham grabbing the goal early and going 1-0 up. But Man City's class just shone through in the end, didn't it? Phil Foden was fantastic. And I think Man City scored their 3 goals in the last half an hour of the game. Let's just shine a little light on Cheltenham. I mean, what did you think of Cheltenham's performance and how they carried themselves in that game, Aslan?
Oh, mate, it was just like one of those underdog performances. It's a never lie down performance, wasn't it? They just kept coming. I mean, personally, I would have thought Man City would have run out 4, 5, 6, but the way these guys were running with the ball, they were chucking it wide, pushing the ball back forward. They weren't sitting there just to defend. You can see when they scored the goal, what it meant to them. But then again, credit where it's given. I mean, Cheltenham came out, like I said, they just went at it. If they said that we were going to lose, we were going to go down fighting. And that's what they did. They went down fighting. Good. I mean, Man City, again, you can say, Man City is Man City. Like you said, a class above everyone. You knew the moment one goal would have went in, the floodgates would have opened. And that's exactly what happened. But no, props to Cheltenham. They were very good on the day as well, but unlucky, with the result.
Yeah,
I mean, I think you tipped Man City, haven't you, really, to kind of be challenging for the Premier League. What do you make of Phil Foden's rise now for Man City? And, do you think he deserves more game time?
I think Phil Foden's quality. First of all, let's put that out there. Quality player, great technician, great ability, and definitely got eye for goal. He's benefited from working with someone like Guardiola. I think he's added that kind of continental style of quality to his game, which is missing a lot in the English game, in my opinion. I think he's going to go a long way in the game, but I think patience is a virtue. And I actually think Guardiola's managed him really well. I think we have a tendency in this country to get overexcited about our young stars and then burn them out or put massive weight of expectation on their shoulders. And then they don't live up to it and we castigate them straight away. And I think the way that Guardiola's actually managed him has been exemplary. And I think if he's a smart young man, he's going to listen. He's going to listen and be patient. He's still young and he's still achieving things. He's getting minutes. He's playing top quality football at the highest level. I wish that other youngsters would take a leaf out of his book. I mean, we had Riyad Brewster at Liverpool and he, was impatient for first team football and he's decided to move on. And you can see how that's worked out at Sheffield United. So for me, I feel Phil Foden's doing the right thing. He's been managed well. And I hope his advisors understand that and, keep him there. That's my view on it.
Do you know what I think as well regarding Phil Foden? Personally, I think he's quality, but I think the reason why Pep has put his arm around him so much is because I personally think he didn't want to have another Jadon Sancho moment where you've got a quality young English winger, who just get up and leave due to lack of game time. You can see that same situation at Arsenal with Balogun. Now, with Foden, he knew that, if he did the same with Foden, he could potentially just get up and leave and tear it up somewhere else. So, but yeah, he's been managed well. I think he's learned a lot from the players that are around him as well, because they're coming from a team with a very much of a winning mentality. So to add someone in young as that, he can only thrive at what he's seen is built around him. Now he's got the likes of Kevin De Bruyne, Sergio Aguero. At that time when Vincent Kompany was there, he has a lot of good players that are around him. With someone like Pep Guardiola, which has just made him thrive on the Premier League. And I think he's seen the rise of Raheem Sterling under Pep Guardiola, which is the reason why I think Phil Foden has become such a quality player at such a young age. And I think he's going to be one of England's best, or if not, I can potentially also see him maybe one day probably even be of the England national team, because I think he's a quality, one of the best young English players in the Premier League right now.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the Jadon Sancho thing, I think it's the example of what I was talking about. I think Jadon Sancho was a bit impatient. I think he's been fortunate that he landed at Dortmund, where they gave him that ability to play, and that's helped his development. I think that Jadon Sancho could have been Phil Foden if he was just a little bit more patient. But as you can see, that Sancho's played a lot more games than Foden has over the last few years. which has helped Sancho's development. And it'll be interesting to see when he comes back to the English league how much of an impact he has in that game, because Foden's got English experience now, which I think is slightly different. So it'll be interesting to see how those two progress alongside each other. But you're absolutely right, Aslan. Developing with all of that quality around you is massive. It's massive. If you look at someone like Curtis Jones at Liverpool, I think he's really come through because of what he's been surrounded by. It develops his game. So, yeah, I fully agree with you.
No, some good points again, gents. Aslan, one that we've got to talk about that we won't probably enjoy. Southampton, obviously, beating Arsenal 1-0. Southampton have been a really good team this year. I think they've shocked a lot of people with their performances and the levels of performances they've had. Arsenal, they had chances, but for me, I didn't see it. I didn't feel they was great. What did you think, Aslan?
It's a story of our season, isn't it? Really. First of all, I'm not going to jump on a manager. I back Arteta. I back him all the way. We had starting 11 good enough to beat Southampton. Simple facts. We've had a team full of internationals who were good enough to beat Southampton. Where we went wrong, as usual, slow start, sloppy start, trying to not get hit on the counter. It's just we just take about 30 minutes to get into each game that we play. Apart from the Chelsea game that we had, if you look at most of our games, we take 25 to 30 minutes to get into a game. And when we do finally start to get into a game, it sometimes it becomes a bit too late. I think we had a team that could beat them, but again, as an Arsenal fan, you always know there's a mistake somewhere along the way, But I mean, you can't take anything from Southampton. They're having an unbelievable season. Their manager has done an incredible job since they got beat 9-0 at Leicester. They've got a very good team, very settled team. But then again, I didn't agree with one thing, which we decided to take the FA Cup very lightly and make a lot of changes straight away. Now, whether that was for the Premier League, I'm not really sure, because are we going to finish in the top 4? I don't think so. Are we going to challenge for the league? I don't think so. So FA Cup was the only thing we could have had that could have potentially put us back into Europe. But then again, I mean, if I look at the whole game as a fan, of course I wasn't happy. Not the way to get kicked out in the FA Cup for the only trophy that we could have potentially won, or even at least gone to a final just to have a little bit of joy. But I think if that would have happened, it would have just papered over the cracks over the terrible season that we have had. I'm not gonna gas over the 5 games that we've had. I mean, we should be winning those games. We should be beating West Brom, the Brightons. We should be winning them. We're Arsenal Football Club. We should be winning these games. We should be beating Southampton. But then again, I'm not going to use the term United use. Oh, it's all about, we're still transitioning from here to there. I think that's bullshit. Sorry about the language, but I think as an Arsenal fan, I think we should have won that game. We didn't play well. We decided to come out in the second half and show some heart, but then again, it's a bit too late as usual. Will we win against them after resting 7 players on Tuesday? Only time will tell. But if they don't lose, then I'll be even more disappointed, because then we should have taken the FA Cup slightly seriously. But if we win, I can turn around and say, okay, do you know what? We won this game, which I think is probably better for us to climb the Premier League and maybe try to get into a European spot, maybe even try to challenge the top 4, especially after the results that are all around. I mean, people are dropping points. It's literally 7 points we're 7 points behind top 4. 2 teams lose 2 games, we're back in challenging for top 4. So, I mean, we'll have to wait on Tuesday. I mean, I'm not going to be extra upset until Tuesday comes around.
Fair enough. Stitches, I'm sure you've got something you want to add about Arsenal.
Yeah, I think, you know what, Arteta's doing a job. I think there's a massive clear out needed at Arsenal, and he's kind of working his way through that. He's trying to build the team in his own image. give an opportunity to the youngsters. I think that from the moment you guys decided to part ways with Arsene Wenger, you have to accept that there's a transition job to be done. I think that when you got in, I can't remember his name now, the Spanish guy, Emery. When you got Emery in, you hoped that would be the beginning of it. It didn't work out, so you had to change direction. You've now got Arteta in. I think you've got to back him. It seems the board is backing him because he's got rid of people like, Ozil. He's got rid of Socrates. He's starting to build a team in his own image. And Arsenal fans just have to accept that. Change your expectations. You're a club in transition right now. And, it is what it is. I think with the FA Cup, Southampton are on good form. A club like Southampton is going to go more for something like the FA Cup because it's something that they could potentially win or at least get to a final. I think Hassan was doing a fantastic job. I've said that on other shows that we've been on. I think he's a great manager, getting more out of a limited squad than that's possible. But I think, with Arsenal, you're going to have ups and downs for a while until they learn or Arteta has finished his rebuild. I think Martin Odegaard, that you guys have potentially got coming in, he's going to add some creativity to your squad. And I think you've been screaming for that for a while. He's potentially a quality player. He's been potentially quality since he was 15 years old. And, he's going to get the opportunity at Arsenal in a very difficult league. And if he can deliver here, then you may have a real gem on your hands there for the next 6 months. So, I just think the expectation versus reality doesn't always merge. And I think there's that flux in terms of what Arsenal fans expect and what the reality of the situation is. And I think that for some Liverpool fans too. Yes, we won the league last year and all of that, but the expectation level, you think we're going to win every single game now, we're never going to have a slump again. Some people just don't face reality. It's just the nature of things.
Yeah, I mean, it's so funny you mentioned Emery as well, Stitches, because what I saw with Emery in the first season he was there, I thought, when he came in, he was a very underrated manager, but he had a lot of attributes. Yeah, obviously, he came from PSG, but obviously, who can't go to PSG and win titles? He came from Sevilla. Sevilla, he set a Sevilla team up, which were unbeatable at a stage. He was a very good manager. See, the thing why Emery failed was the fact that the board didn't back him when he wanted players like a Wilfred Zaha. They didn't give him Wilfred Zaha. They went out and spent £70 million on Pepe because that was to pipe the fans down, shut the fans down a bit to say, do you know what? Here you go. Here's a £70 million a player. Take him instead. But Emery didn't want him. Emery wanted Zaha. So there were a lot of players Emery wanted, which the club didn't let him have. Now, with Arteta, the reason why I back Arteta to succeed at Arsenal, and I'm like, at the moment, we are a mid-table team, and I've accepted that. I want us to win trophies. I want us to challenge for the top 4, FA Cup, Carabao Cup. I want us to challenge for all these things. But I think where we're lacking is the creativity. Yeah, the clear out is all good and well, but I don't really see any incomings. There's 1 week of the transfer window left. We're getting Odegaard. He's what, 20 years old? 21, 22 years old? And we want to put him into a midfield, and hopefully he can, do something for us. I don't want him to be a Dennis Suarez, where he comes in, plays one game, everybody thinks, he's, the next Aaron Ramsey or a next Mesut Ozil, and then after one performance, he gets shafted again. But this is the thing with Arteta. The reason why I back Arteta, because I see his press conferences, I see the way he comes through to the players, I see the vision that he's trying to build. I'm not expecting, Champions League or winning the Premier League overnight. It's not going to happen. You could have put Pep Guardiola in the Arsenal team and give him £500 million to spend, and it wouldn't happen. So I'm going to stick by him for as long as he's at Arsenal. He's going to have my full backing. But then the only thing I don't like about Arteta is sometimes his decision making. But then obviously that will come in time with a lot of learning, that should come in time. So I'm not getting my hopes and dreams up and thinking next year we're going to win the Premier League. But we are where we are. It's because of the way we played. The recruitment has been terrible for a very long time at Arsenal, and that's you can see. The other day I read a stat that we've sold 190 million pound worth of players. And do you know how much money we have recouped out of those 190 million pound players that we've sold? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. We have paid players off to leave because we finally realized they weren't good enough to put on this shirt. You can see just by that how terrible the core is when it comes to recruitment. Now, I hope Edu's come in. He knows Arsenal. He was there with the Invincibles. He knows what it is to put on this shirt, But then again, it just depends. I mean, I'm happy that we got this Odegaard kid in. I hope he can come in and start doing things so we can start moving back up. But like I said, all I want to do is challenge, trying to get into Europe. There's still a long way to go. Everybody's forgotten. We're only in January. Well, we're coming to February now, but this season doesn't finish till May. There's about 59 points still to play for, and I'm not saying we're going to get all 59 points, but if we get into the top 6, I would think, do you know what, for the season that we've had, where we were called the relegation, we were one of the favorites to go down, to finish in Europe, I'll take that. I'll be like, do you know what, it's his first full season. I'll take it. We go to the transfer windows in the summer, and we'll go again, and we'll see if he gets backed again or not.
Fair, some good points there, some fair points. Solo 1979 Herlock has said Arsenal will be a hard game for United. Do you agree with that, Stitches?
Yeah, because I think Arsenal will naturally raise their game anyway. And I think that the reason it will be a hard game for United is that United will fancy themselves in that game. So there's less likely to play a more sort of lower block or, more deeper defensive line. They're going to push up a bit higher because they think they can win the ball up higher up the pitch and put it onto Arsenal, which will give space to the likes of Aubameyang. So for me, that could potentially make it a more difficult game for United. Yes, I'd agree.
Good stuff. Well, moving on, West Ham Doncaster, pretty standard game for West Ham. Scored a goal early through Fornals. I mean, Moyes is doing good things at West Ham, isn't he, Stitches?
Yeah, like we talked about this, and it sounds so terrible, but it's not meant as disrespect. Certain managers have a level, and Moyes has found his level. And I think that West Ham, they had enough quality to be around about where they are now. Now, can they keep it going? Can they capitalise on the fact that this is just such a weird season in terms of COVID and everything else? That's where the opportunity lies. If they're ever going to do really well and finish sort of in a top half or maybe even break into European positions, this is the season for them to really make a push for it. I think it's been difficult. It's been a difficult time, but they clearly backed Moyes. He's an invasive manager in terms of he's not going to rub the board up the wrong way. He's just going to quietly go about his business. No one expects too much from West Ham right now. So if he gets a loss or a draw, the pressure's not going to be like it is at Man United or Liverpool. And so it's kind of like he's found his new Everton. And he could quietly go about his business, and he's doing well right now. They'll give most teams a tough game, but they're held back by the quality that they have, and they have some quality, but it's not quality all around the park. So they can be exploited. But yeah, I think he's doing fairly well. You've got to give him some kudos for that.
Yeah. Moving on to the next game, Aslan. I mean, Brighton, Blackpool. Blackpool gave a good account of themselves here, and obviously, they scored a goal against Brighton. Brighton's starting to pick up results. They need it, don't they? I mean, what have you thought about Brighton this year so far in the Premier League, Aslan?
I mean, Brighton, I think they've been very unlucky with certain results that they've got. I mean, some of the games that I have seen Brighton playing, they shouldn't be where they are, if I'm being real honest. They just haven't had that cutting edge at front of goal. But I mean, they've had a very up and down season. I mean, but then you can also see the teams above them are getting results. That's what Brighton are where they are. I mean, I personally think they have been quite unlucky this season. I mean, I think they've got a pretty good manager who plays pretty good football. When I watched them play against Arsenal, I mean, they were very hard to break down, but at the same time, they were very good going forward. But they just didn't have that end product, that one final pass. That's what makes a bit of a difference. If you look at their Premier League form, you can see the same. They're not scoring enough goals, but they are leaking silly goals. But I mean, did you see the goal they scored over in the FA Cup? Yes, was it yesterday? The Yaps Bosimwa. Did you see that goal that he scored?
Yeah,
that was some quality. So he is absolute quality. He is. I think he's going to be one of the hot shots when summer window comes around, because I think he's absolute quality. But they just need to have a good team around him, and I don't think they will get relegated. I think they're a bit too good to get relegated, but they just need to start picking up results. I think there's a bit of lack of confidence in their strikers, but I think the moment they get a win, I think they should start picking up results after that.
Yeah, I mean, our last couple of games we're going to go through here: Sheffield United, Plymouth. Stitches, we've had conversations about Sheffield United before. They've got the win there, which will be great for their confidence. But Plymouth gave them a good scare, didn't they?
You know what? I actually watched that game. I watched that game, and you know what I was thinking when I was watching the game? I was thinking to myself, Sheffield United are actually playing in a way that suits their most expensive striker in terms of Ryan Brewster. And he got a few chances. He got a few chances in that game, and I was like, but they're never going to play this way in the Prem.
Yeah.
Right, they're not. And as much as Plymouth scared them, Plymouth didn't have the quality to really put them to the sword. So it's kind of a free hit. You can go out there and express yourself and do all of that stuff. But I guarantee you, next week in the match in the Premier League, they're going to park the bus again. They're going to look to hit the channels. They're going to play those long balls, and they're going to expect their striker to be physical, be a nuisance, and put themselves about. And that doesn't necessarily play to the strengths of some of the players he's got. And that's why it's an issue. And for me, it's limited football. It's not what I want to watch. I have no time for Sheffield United at all. So, yeah, again, I say it every week, but hey, that's how I feel.
Brilliant. And our last game, Aslan, coming to you. Burnley, Fulham, 3-0 Burnley. Fulham not performing great. Burnley obviously being clinical in that game. Both of these clubs struggling with relegation. Do you think both of them will go down, Aslan?
To be honest, I don't think Burnley would go down. I think Burnley will pick up results. I think Sean Dyche is the type of manager who will grind out results. But I don't think they will go down. And the funny thing is, I actually had Fulham to win this game on the basis of certain performances that Fulham have had. You would have thought they would have given Burnley a run for their money. But then again, it's one of those things that where Fulham can score goals, but they can leak twice as many. And that was a typical kind of game. I mean, overall, I get Burnley did play well. I mean, you can't score 3 goals, and not win a game. But I mean, personally, I don't think Burnley would go down. But I think Fulham would go down.
Yeah. If you ask me, Carly, who I prefer to go down, my answer would be very easy. It would be Burnley. I can't stand them for obvious reasons. To lose our record to lose our record to them is just shocking. It's Brexit football. That's what I call it. But anyway, Fulham actually, for me, have turned it around a little bit in the league in terms of their performances. I think they're playing really well, and I think in terms of the FA Cup, I didn't expect them to go through. Because if I'm Parker, I'm looking at it and thinking, I'm saving my players for the league. Give myself the best chance of staying in. Yeah. So he's writing the changes. Like, we're never going to get the same level of performance. So for me, I mean, it's to be expected. Burnley, they're more likely to get a result out of it. And I don't know if anyone saw the game, but the state of the pitch was shocking.
Yeah.
Which again suited Burnley right down to a T. They like to get muddy. They like to get physical. They like to get stuck in. So that's the kind of football they play. They loved it. They probably saw the pitch and rubbed their hands like, yes, we're going to have a good one today. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, brilliant. Well, boys, that wraps up the show. Before we go, though, I'm going to get a prediction from both of you. Aslan, who do you think is going to win the FA Cup this year?
Man City.
Man City. Stitches?
Yeah, I've called it from the beginning. Now that we're no longer in it, I mean, I wouldn't even have backed us because I know we don't care about it. But it's City all the way. City have got it. Yeah.
Fair enough. I'm going to go Leicester to win it.
Yeah.
Yeah. After watching them
Fair
today,
enough.
I think they've got the potential. Well, gentlemen, thank you for joining me again on the show. It's been really enjoyable, fantastic show, and great to hear both your opinions again. Thank you for joining us, subscribers, and obviously everyone who's tuned in. Keep liking, sharing, and subscribing, and obviously interacting with your comments. We really appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you all next week. So, gents, enjoy.
Thanks for having us on.
Yeah. Cheers, guys.
Take care.
Take
Take
care.
care.